What's up, guys? It's Joe at National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into a recap of tonight. We also have a lot of college games tomorrow, and then I wanted to obviously get into the meat of the matter. But as you know, I'm not going to just hide my opinion. But as you can see, we played two leg twos, and I again, my last video, I go over all these picks in order. They're copy and pasted. But yeah, Buffalo covered Kent. We have that. So again, if you just basically if every day I do this, if you just copy and paste my picks, I put them all out ahead of time for that reason. So the reason I said I like Buffalo covering Kent was because Kent's record against the spread. I can't name a player on either team. All I know is these metrics don't hold, so I liked it as a leg 2-for-2 units. So for our loss on Rockets cover Cavs the night before, that's now a +1 gain. Same thing with Youngstown State. I thought they'd go under because they've gone over a lot. They did, and we got that. And then we went 2-3 in the NBA. We did get the Bucks cover. They got the Pacers by 10. Grizz, they didn't get it done. The Wolves looked good. So, again, all leg ones, nothing crazy. Missed the Heat. I thought with, the spread line and how bad they've been, people would fade them. But I guess the Magic aren't that great, so we missed that. We got the Thunder. That one, I think, of all of them, was the biggest trap. Just because I don't think many people have the Cavs as a worse team than the Thunder. I just thought, A, it was a trap, and B, I think the Thunder are going to be a play-in team this year. And the West is way more competitive, so they need to win these type of games versus teams like the Pacers, who, they're not going to be a play-in team. The East is way they can be, because again the East is much thinner, and that's why they can afford this loss. Them, the Wizards, they can all play for the play-in spot. But my point is, the West, the Thunder need to stay around 500 to be in the play-in. You got all these teams that are just vying for that spot. And we missed the Warriors. I thought they would have more. I thought people would be all over them, but maybe the narrative reigned supreme. And you can see below I write everything and why closing these units is so important. Yesterday, I think we closed 6. Today is 4. That's 10. And it's just it adds up. So even if we were to lose a 3-legger, it's -7. So we're always constantly picking up. Now, what I want to go into here is something that I found very interesting, because these articles are just coming up and they're coming up more and more each day. And I'm kind of seeing the 5 stages of grief. Because in the beginning when this happened, I beckoned, I said, hey, how come this is not being covered by the news? How come they're talking about Kevin McCarthy? Why are they talking about all these other things? And, I think we know why. They didn't want it questioned. Well, it started getting questioned to a point where they tried to squash it online. That didn't work. And now the mainstream media went from basically bargaining, where they're like, nope, it's not him because of this, because of that, because of the other thing. Josh Allen got involved and said, oh, no, it couldn't be because he was acting like Damar. Yeah, what a great response. And this guy's dressed like he's going to a ski trip, and none of it makes sense. And then you can see it starts to get more anger. Fact check. They're telling us why we're wrong. And then they're going to tell us why we're morons because, we're totally convinced that he's dead. Now, maybe it was the news is conveying of the information, and that's why we're questioning this. So whether or not the man died, I believe he did, it's the news's fault, because they could have given us accurate information. Instead, they didn't tell us anything, and now people are questioning things, and rightfully so. And to question it does not make you crazy. I'm just letting people know that it's been actually proven. Now, there's the Paul McCartney hoax. I don't want to call it a hoax. I actually think there's a chance he did. But it's been proven that people have died in the past. This is usually with political regimes. They've had attorney generals die. And what they've done is they have brought in body doubles, so the public didn't freak out. So I'm just saying it's possible. And if you say, oh yeah, I knew exactly what Damar Hamlin looked like before the hit, and this guy is him, you're full of shit. Let's just be honest. He was a backup guy who was usually wearing a helmet, even when he visited his mom on the sidelines, which is weird because she shouldn't have been on the sidelines. It was an away game, and he's the 30th best player on the team, just being honest. So with the crowded sidelines, why did she decide to be there on that game and be on the sidelines? Is he a rookie and that was his first ever game? None of it adds up. But anyway, Eli Apple put out something very interesting. It was Cancun on 3. And I questioned why he put it out, and I think I do know why he put it out, because the Gematria. I'm not a Gematria guy, you know that, but I don't just search for things. When I see them talking about this topic over and over, and they were, oh yeah, I like pi. The reason I put that in is I'm going to show you guys in a second, because I want to show you what people do with Gematria. But anyway, Cancun on 3. I typed that in just because it kept getting brought up. And I was like, let me see if there's anything that comes up. And sure enough, the first number is 377, which was like the biggest number outside of 855. That was the biggest number they were talking about. And 3, of course, because the score was 3-7. And of course, 37 was the total score in the last game they just played. And then now we have, what I find interesting is Cancun on 3. The simple Gematria is 85. So Higgins was the guy that was near him when he had the heart attack. And, of course, the guy blamed for the hit. And then when there was 8:55, and that was the time when he got hit, and 5:58 left in the quarter. This was all brought up by other people a long time ago. Not the Cancun on 3, these numbers. So I'm not searching for these numbers. It's the fact that they keep coming up. And when they keep coming up, then I say, okay, maybe we got something. So let's see what else comes up. So I went down, and sure enough, I saw booster. I said, okay, well, that's just 1. I need at least 5 before I can say this is definitely. Because you look through Gematria, you can make anything. You could he's famous now. No, we're not going to do that. Booster, he got the booster 3 times. So that's very interesting. Beginning of the end, I find interesting, because I do think he died. Contract. It's known he had just signed a big contract. If you look at the contract he signed, it's for like 30s. I'll go into it. It's like $37,000, 37, The reason I'm doing this fast is because my data might cut off at any time. I've done this video a couple times now going over it, and each time it just shuts off. I guess I'm running low on data. So I'm not trying to go fast, but if it just shuts off, I'm just going to make a part 2. So that's what we're going to do because we do everything live. So we had just got a big contract. I'm going to go into that in a second. And yeah, it was for like $37,000 or $370,000 a year or $3.7 million, whatever it was. I'm going to go into that. Blue check mark. I found that interesting, and I do think it's not a reach because these blue check marks have been everywhere on Twitter, telling people, "Oh, he didn't have a heart attack. Oh, you're nuts." It wasn't from the vaccine. It was from the hit. All these different things. They're saying he had a heart attack, but they're saying they're saying it was from something else. So it's just interesting. And then down here, you actually see Heartbreaker. Like, what happened to him? So, like, I find all this stuff very, very interesting. This happened with Tony Saragusa, too. I typed in relevant numbers, like 55. That was the year he died. And sure enough, all these different things came up about hearts. So, you go down, and a CDZ death shot is in here. So, these all lining up are very, very interesting, in my opinion. So, and then we have it one more time. We have doctors. I find that very interesting because, of course, doctors, Heartbreaker, again, it's just a space, but Sacred Heart, they keep talking about, love. But doctors, why are doctors important? Well, that's who they kept talking about, was the doctors. So we have like 8 or 9 examples, not to mention the numbers add up perfectly. So I don't think it's a coincidence Eli Apple put that tweet out. Now we have the article, and it's talking about tomorrow's doctors. They got the key to the city because of how great they did. And, of course, they're all wearing masks. We can't identify any of these guys, and that's fine. And you could say what you will, but I will say, like I said, anyone that says they knew what DeMar looked like before this, I think they're full of shit. Like, no, like maybe you've seen him once or twice in a picture or, like, a glance of him, but it's very, very easy to have somebody that looks like this man. People act like it's impossible. With the technology and the fact that he's wearing helmets and now he looks like he's going on ski trips, it's absurd to say that it's definitely him. So here is somebody saying it is definitely him, Josh Allen, and the rationale is, well, he was acting like DeMar, and I saw him basically, but what he saw was him dressed up, like he didn't see his face. I saw him walking around the locker room, and he was acting like DeMar. So these idiots need to shut up. So again, we're seeing the 5 stages of grief basically go from complete denial, they have bargaining going on, and now we got some anger. Now we're morons for even asking, some questions. And the thing is, the reason people are asking questions is because of how bad the news was relayed. First, they tell us we're watching it live for 30 minutes to an hour, no response, nothing's going on. And then suddenly, days later or a day later, they come out, oh yeah, 9 minutes into it, they revived him on the field. But they had told us before that it took until they got into the ambulance, the defibrillators weren't working. And here's another thing, it's euphemisms. So this man collapsed on the field, his vitals stopped, his heart stopped, and he had no pulse. CPR did not work. A defibrillator was needed to resuscitate him. Why aren't they telling the truth and saying he died on the field? Even if he was resuscitated, he still died. My father actually died 2 times. He was a big drug addict, and he overdosed. He died. They resuscitated him. But the doctors said he died because that's what happened. So you can just see that they use euphemistic language. George Carlin was the best at pointing this out. And they do things. Here's a persuasive one. No, Damar is not replaced by a body double. This is how you lead an article when you're desperate to get people to believe something. You don't lead an article with that title. You would lead it saying, here are the facts on Damar Hamlin, or here are why people think he was replaced with a body double. You don't just say, no, you're a moron. He's not. So they do that because they're obviously not liking the ratios they're getting. They're getting millions and millions of people asking this question, and you can go to Twitter for that. Now let's look at his contract because I found that interesting. Okay, it's actually $3.64 million, 476, and I know for a fact 36 and 37 are connected. I think they connect like 1 year with the next, and I'll show you why. And that's what I said. There's a lot in this video, so I'm hoping my phone can handle it all because this is I put a lot into these notes, but the stuff that we find live, like the Gematria stuff that, oh yeah, let me go back to that to show you guys that I wasn't full of shit. So we have the Cancun on 3, right? And everything matched up. So let's type in a random phrase. I had done I like pie. And let's see if we get similar words where, in numbers. Well, the numbers aren't even close. 127, 76. You can say, oh, that's at the 13. But nothing here is adding up to the 85 or the 37 or the 3 or the 10 or any of those numbers that were very important. They're not jumping out at us. Let's look at the words. Isabel, Facebook, Nicole, Cookie, Graham, crime. Maybe there was a crime. But you can see really nothing is going on here that has anything to do with what happened to him. My point is, that's why I mean when I tell these Gematria people, I think a lot of, none of these, choking, maybe he choked, if you want to reach for it. Hi, mom. His mom was there, right? I could see the Gematria people doing that, but that's what they do. They find all the fitting, everyone that fits, they'll go to prime ordinals if they have to, and they'll try and get the fit. I didn't do that. I saw a phrase that I kept seeing over and over, and it was just a weird one to type out, knowing how controversial what's going on in the number 3. And this happens. Now, what's more interesting is he wrote Cancun on 3, which is a normal statement because it's been said before by Patrick Beverly. But for some reason, the Bills automatically knew that his 3 was a jab at their 3. Well, how did he know that they were saying it symbolically? So it's almost like they're admitting that you're using the 3 symbolically, if you get what I mean. Because if he's just saying Cancun on 3 innocently, as a jerk, but we eliminated you, go to Cancun, why are they assuming that the 3 is him making a jab at Damar? They shouldn't assume that because, again, unless they were the ones that put out the symbolism with the number 3. And this is what I look for in Gematria. I look for when it matches up with the articles. So that's basically everything. It's nothing crazy, I know. But, I mean, you guys can do it this what you will. You can read these articles. I suggest you watch the Josh Allen interview. He's incredibly awkward in it and doesn't seem convinced himself. And, of course, they're all wearing that same love for Damar 3. And I typed in love for Damar 3, and that was another one. That's what I'm saying. This stuff can't be a coincidence. So I typed in love for Damar 3 because it came up a million times. It was actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was love for 3 Damar. Is how it, I'll go read it, but they're basically the same. And here we do get the 130, of course, which is very interesting. And then I found it interesting because there was a specific phrase in here. So I got bring pain, right? I found that very interesting. And then we got Maricopa County. Obviously, the Super Bowl is going to be in Arizona. And then Love for Damar comes up with it. Only a matter of time. I do think it is only a matter of time. Final Resurrection actually came up with this. I found that very, very interesting. And then what's interesting about 7/18 is I looked into Super Bowl 18 and it lines up perfect. I Am the Loved One, Love for Damar, SARS-CoV, hit the ground running. What happened to him? Media being used to manipulate. What's happening? So this is the reason that for these, again, King Cobra Venom, what are they saying is in these jabs? So this isn't just me, and talking about snakes again. So you can see, again, here, Kickstart My Heart. I mean, I don't know how else to show. This is the best way, for, in my opinion, to go about Gematria. When you see them saying a particular phrase a million times, there might be something about it. Now let's type in Love for National Sports Entertainment. Right, because you guys all love me. And let's see if we get all these same phrases. So I can either eat my words. I do these live. So I can either eat my words or not. Well, we get 444, which is interesting. That's actually where I'm. It's my old address. That's kind of crazy. So let's see what's in here. Across the New Divide, Wrath of the New Spirit, all biblical stuff. Did you really think he could beat me up? How do I wake up? I guess you could say it's related. But you can see, basically, 1 out of maybe like 20, 30. I found one so far that's really relevant to what happened. And that's if I want to reach. I will kill your souls. We can reach there. But my point is, I'm typing in different phrases to show you guys it doesn't matter if, with these Gematria guys, they just type in random stuff until they get what they want. Here, I literally just typed in stuff that we randomly saw. Booster. And beginning of the end. This is Cancun on 3. Heartbreaker. And then when I typed in Love for Damar 3, we got the same. Oh, yeah, Love for Damar 3 is a different one. Here we go. We got a different thing. And again, it's just very interesting to me that all these things come up. Golden Gate Bridge is interesting because San Francisco Resurrection, I just thought really interesting, And then they have all these things. Hit the ground running to me, just really. I almost had like an epiphanic moment where I was just like, this is just crazy. SARS-CoV, of course, Loved One. And then the Kickstart My Heart. I mean, there's just a lot in here, in my opinion, that is exactly what happened. I mean, this is exactly what people are talking about. But when we do it with other phrases, it doesn't come up. Why? Because Gematria is very multi-coded, and that's the reason that I don't use it often. But I do tie it in with narratives. So you guys can do with all of that what you will. I just really wanted to show you it because I thought you would find it interesting. And I certainly found it interesting. So now we're going to go into the college games because this is about exposing people, but also about making sure that we continue to grow. And I have every pick in here, so we're going to go into them. This I wanted to go into. I'm going to go into this in a separate video just because, again, I'm surprised my data's gone this far. I've tried a couple times, and each time it's just shut off. But it seems like I've deleted a lot of stuff, though, so I'm thinking I have enough data to handle this video. But, yeah, so that was the reason with Damar. I wish I could have gone over it, into more detail, but I think I showed you guys a lot. And the articles, I think it's kind of redundant for me to click on and read every article, but you guys can read them. They're pretty entertaining and pretty revealing. They're really persuasive. They're trying to persuade people. But you can see where they're at, and we're not going to stop covering this. This is just my opinion. If you disagree, that is certainly okay. So let's go into what I like. Immediately, I like Western Kentucky to cover Florida Atlantic tomorrow, and that's going to be for a 3-leg for 4 units. So we look for our last 2-leg loss. We have some 3 legs plugged in. Here it was. Middle Tennessee did not cover. And it's pretty fitting that we will pick the same team. We're going to fade the same team again, okay? Because I really don't... Again, their record against the spread is just not going to hold. That record's not going to hold. Next, I like Louisville to cover Notre Dame because Notre Dame has a good record against the spread and Louisville has a bad one. So you mix both of those, and I like that metric. So again, we go back to the last time. All right, for some reason I have this one in here twice. I don't know why. I typed so many in. So yeah, the Spurs, Western. We have to find our last two-legged loss. And that one was a three-legger we closed. As I said, here we go. Bulls cover Hornets. We don't have a ton of open sequences. We do have a decent bit, but not a lot because we closed so many with college. So there's Louisville, another leg 3. And you can see it might not be fun, but there is a reason I choose college metrics for our leg 3s. They hit at an absurd rate with the spread. UAB Rice. UAB is nothing crazy against the spread. It's the over. We're playing the under. It's not like UAB is like 90%, but they are 80%, and I think that drops. So UAB under. Now for all of these games, I tell everybody the same thing. Always get the ESPN closing spread or a half point better. Okay, I never just lock it in now because there's times these have to match up against ESPN. Team Rankings, which does the against the spread metric, uses ESPN like the Associated Press. That's the one they go by. So I can't be more adamant about that. You have to use ESPN's closing spread. If your book's not giving it to you, then either don't play the game, take the risk, or buy it. Because especially with games like UAB Rice, where I'm specifically playing the metric, I'm not playing it because of the players. I can't name a guy on any of these teams. The only one I made it a leg 3 was Louisville, and that's because I can actually now name 2 guys on the team. They have a guy named L. Ellis, and they have a guy named Mike James. So, yeah, that's like how little about college basketball I know. Yet we hit at a 70% rate. Stetson Queens, that under, I just like it as a leg 1. Stetson does have a pretty high record on the over, so I like the under, but it's nothing like they're 85%. I think they're like 76%. So if you don't know my take on spreads, I go into that a lot. Teams just don't finish a certain way against the spread. Speaking of, we have Merrimack here who's like 16% on the over, so that's another leg 3. So we go back as far as we can until we find a leg 2 loss. And this is why we don't chase. We could make this a leg 4, but do we really want to lose 15 units on a sequence? And as you can see, it's pretty far back. And you can see what we're also doing is we're closing every single sequence by doing this. Okay? So it just makes it where I don't even know if we have a leg 2 loss. Gosh. We have a lot of plays, though, so I'm sure I'll find one. But here we go. Raiders cover Chiefs. That was a little bit ago. You can see we have some hanging chads, but that's the goal, to close every single sequence, and then, obviously, the goal is to close them at a profit. So we got that one, and this is literally, the reason I'm doing it this way, I know it's a little monotonous especially if you watch my channel, but I'm doing it this way because there's a lot of people that they're asking me, how do I do this, what do I do here? So I want to show you literally what I do. San Diego to go under, I like that again. They were hitting a lot of overs, and I noticed that a lot of times, once they finally miss the spread, they'll miss it like 4 games in a row. Here are some examples. Louisville started like 0-11 against the spread. Now they're like, I don't know, they're in like the 30%. UConn started like 9-0. Now they're down in like the 60%. So you can see that it does even out. So this one's just a 1-legger. San Diego, San Francisco is just a 2-legger because, like I said, it's nothing crazy, but I do think they go under. St. Peter's versus St. Mary's under, that's also a 2-legger. So that just means anyone that we lost leg 1, bam, leg 2. And the goal isn't to win them all. I mean, I will take a split because when we split these and then we can get the third legs, we pick up enough to close the 7 units. Mississippi State, TCU under. This one's simply a first leg. Again, Mississippi State is pretty good on the over, but not enough to warrant it as a second or third leg. And this is just what I do every single night. And again, I put these picks out in live time, but this is how I go about my it doesn't matter where you plug it in. So that Nebraska, we just look for a leg 1 loss. This is the Suns Mavs from the other night. We think Nebraska's not too good on the over. They're in the 20%. That usually won't hold. Hofstra, I like to cover the Charleston. And this one's a different reason. I made it a leg one. It's kind of a metric, but not really. I just noticed that there's 3 teams with only 1 loss. So I'm thinking, okay, there's a chance of upset, plus we have points to fall back on. So that's the reason I did with New Mexico a little bit ago, and it worked, so I'm doing it now. And that's our discard picks. We got 2 of them. So, yeah, that's all of our college picks. Hofstra, and again, I can't go into why I like these teams because I don't know anything about them. So, just copy and paste, do whatever you need. But these are our leg ones, Hofstra to cover. A lot are unders, as you can see, or over and unders. Mississippi State, I like to go under. Stetson, I like to go under. As a leg 2, UAB Rice, I like to go under. As a leg 2, San Diego, San Francisco, I like to go under. And you can just see them all. St. Mary's, St. Peter's, I like to go under as a leg 2. Nebraska, Maryland to go over. We already got the Niners locked. We already got the Bengals locked. And then Merrimack hit for us the last time. I think they hit again. And yeah, it's just that's all you do is you just plug them in, and I know they're up here somewhere. It took me a while. But anyway, you just plug in the leg 3s, and that's how the system works. When a leg 2 misses, you plug in leg 3, and the goal is to close every single sequence. So you can see this is what we've been doing all year, and it's not often we get 3-legged losses. Here we go. It's all the way down. Here it is. The Raiders Chiefs. It was that one. And you can see we've played San Diego a lot. You can see we've played a lot Denver, a lot of the Tulane, a lot of these same teams a lot, and they've been doing well for us. It's because of the metric. That's why I can't, hammer that point home enough. So we got 11 plays tomorrow. I'm going to go into the NBA, but to be honest, I really wanted to go into the phony, fake, fugazi news because whatever side, again, I say this all the time, this is not a political issue. This is an issue of just being honest and transparent, and that was not done here. And again, showing up like an Eskimo did not help the cause because it just makes people more suspicious. So I will be very interested to see what happens going forward. I also wanted to show you guys how I used my Gematria, and also if I could use that live that quickly. I mean, I did see the Cancun on 3, like probably 20 minutes before the video. I checked it out, and because I did the video 4 or 5 times, so of course I saw it. But my point is, in that short of a time frame, if I'm able to find that many things that are actually relatable, and then same with Love for Damar 3, which just happens to be what everyone's saying. Not Love for Damar. They have to say Love for Damar 3, which adds up to Heartbreaker and Warm My Heart and Resurrection and Doctor Deathshot and all these different things. I just find that a little interesting. And that's why I typed in different phrases, because I know everyone loves national sports entertainment. And when I typed that in, I didn't see anything to do with COVID or anything to do with a jab or anything to do with a heart attack. But when we happen to type in Cancun on 3 and Love for Damar 3, we do. But just imagine the people that take 3-4 days to do this. They can have you convinced of anything by just having every single symbolism line up perfectly. But we don't do that here. We try and treat it very honestly. And when I treat it honestly, every fiber in my being is bringing me back to Kobe. That's all I can say. I don't know why. I'm glad my data's gone this long. I thought we were going to get shut off again. I guess that's because I deleted so many things. But anyway, this is taking me back to Kobe. It reminds me of exactly what happened to Kobe, where something that they're saying happened differently, and they know, and they just want us to not question it. So, as you can see, when I typed in, again, I'm not even going to lie, they can't go, and the first thing was 85 and 337. I was like, Jesus, how did these Gematria guys not have this out yet? And I think it's because they just look at the numbers. And they look at words that fit their theory. I look for words that are in quotes. A lot of times just like, okay, Damar Law. I'm going to start, so Damar's Law. Like that kind of stuff. I look for stuff like that in Gematria. when they're specifically saying a thing, a sound bite over and over, that's usually when, or a certain number, of course, over and over, that's usually when it's interesting. But it's important to look for the phrases more so than the numbers. It's not just about numbers. The numbers, let's not forget what Gematria is about. It's literally letters equaling numbers. So I noticed a lot of examples of people not using the phrases, not using the narratives, not using any reason. They're just saying, oh, this equals 48, so that means I'm right. Well, why are you right? So I try and explain why the numbers actually match up with the phrases. The 337 obviously is crazy, and so is the 85. But, if you guys, let me know what you think. I know there's a lot of Gematria heads in the comments, and I appreciate you guys because I know you guys are all fighting for the same cause as I am. But just let me know what you think. If you have other deeper Gematria, whether it supports this or does not, I don't care. I just like all insight. And I'm really happy this one held. Gosh. Like I said, I really wanted to hit all of our recaps, and I wanted to go into Damar, but I didn't want you guys not to get the picks. And I was like, well, I thought 20 minutes, and that was going to be it. I don't know how long this video has been, but I'm really happy my data didn't shut off. You don't understand. I don't have time to edit, rehearse these. I literally just do them and put them out. So, that's the reason I'm just happy the data held, and that's everything. I wanted to go into those three things. I found a lot of interesting, I know I've gone into it a lot, but I found a lot of interesting synchronicities between Damar and the Super Bowl again and wrestling. I know people might not think wrestling's involved. The Royal Rumble is today, by the way. But I can promise you it is. It's very involved. They're all involved. But yeah, I thought this was very interesting. When they're calling us morons in the title, we might want to look at, and again, we can read these articles. This has been very long, so I don't want you guys to get bored. But this is they always put out these articles because they have to put out these articles, so they shut us up. So of course, nonsensical. What I always look for in these articles, just so you know, is I look for adjectives. Because if there's a ton of descriptions, but not a lot of nouns and not a lot of events, and they're not explaining things that happened, but they're just kind of using 4 and 5 adjectives and adverbs to try and make a point. These nonsensical, ridiculous, unfounded, unsubstantiated conspiracy theories. That when I see stuff like that, then I question it more. Because why do you have to use 9 adjectives? It's like when you're trying to hook your friend up at the bar and you're like, oh yeah, he's a very funny, smart, good looking. You get 5, 6 adjectives in and the girl's going to throw, she's going to say, okay, no thanks. Because you're overselling it. That's what they're doing right now. They're overselling the crap out of this. And it's because the media is out of touch and they don't realize, they underestimate the intelligence of the people. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes I do. But I'm really, really happy that this got to a point where I didn't have to put out a video until now, really. I didn't go into the news aspect. I went into more of the logical aspect. But I love seeing this because when I did go into the news slightly, I said, why isn't the news covering this? And now you see why they are. They're only going to cover it when they want to cover themselves. So they're only going to cover a cover-up. Just remember that. And with that, that's everything I have. Hopefully we see Damar soon. I hope he enjoys his trip to the Alps, because that's where it looked like he was going. And we had a really good day. And I think we kill it tomorrow with college. And if this video doesn't get us shut down, then that is incredible. I will say, when I say nothing is stopping us, I mean it, because we just started this back up literally 1 month ago. We didn't wait. We didn't cry. We didn't just try and get the old channel back. I just said we're getting to work. And guess what? We are 40% back to what we had, the audience we had the first time around. And we're there in 4 weeks, which, just puts us on pace for in less than 2 months to be where we were before. And the last time it took us 6 months. So it just shows hard work, positive vibes, and putting out good, just being honest, transparent, and doing the same consistent content weekly, monthly, daily, sometimes hourly. and having an amazing community that's not going to settle for inferior content, and people are searching, saying what's going on, what happened. That's why we're growing so fast. So I love you guys. I appreciate it. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to figure out what happened. And like I said, I think we were told the Super Bowl as a result. So I cannot wait. We're a day away now from the Niners and the Bengals playing. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Rumble as well. I could put out another Rumble video. Here's the thing. I don't know if The Rock's entering. If The Rock enters, he's winning it. But if he doesn't enter, then I think it becomes down to Brock. And I told people, don't be surprised if Logan Paul shocks the world. There's a thing about him in wrestling. But anyway, I'll go into the NBA. It's later in the day. I did college because there's a lot of games at noon. So I wanted to make sure everybody had all of our plays. Now you know what leg they're for. And as I said, I always like to hit our recap at the end of the day just to show you guys exactly where we're at. This was yesterday, and we had a good day yesterday too. You can see our Mary Mac hit us for a leg 3, and we're rolling with them again tonight. So I think they come through. But everybody, I always appreciate the support, the insight, even the people that disagree. I like that even more. Not that I'm just saying disagree with me, play devil's advocate. But when somebody genuinely disagrees, I appreciate it because it means they've listened, they've come to their own opinion, and they're telling me why they disagree. But when people agree and they offer further insight and further addendums, I love that too. I just love dialogue. So it's great to, that we have so much going on, and we have a lot of different people with a lot of great insight. But this is just my opinion. This is not how you handle it. I think I was right with my community post that I put out when it happened. You can call it insensitive, but I'm just an honest autistic person, so I don't beat around the bush. When someone needs to be resuscitated and they don't have any vitals, just like my father, my dad overdosed because he was an addict. They resuscitated him. He came back to life, but he was dead. Whether, people don't want to use the word, I have a George Carlin philosophy. You use the simplest word that happened, and, to say he was temporarily restricted of air and blood circulation to the body as a result of a unexpected event. No, he died. 2 words, he died, they resuscitated him. What happened afterwards, none of us know, but we do at least know that, and they should be honest enough. That's 5 words, and if the news was more like that, then people would actually understand what's going on. Because now people are wondering how this man is even walking, when most people, look at Terry Schiavo. That's basically, now her circumstance was a little different, of course, but my point is, when you're put into a medically induced coma, and at the same time you go that long without vitals, you are not dancing in Twitter videos, you're not posing in front of a wall, and you're not up in an elevated press box with a mask on. You avoid elevation when you have a heart problem. None of this makes sense. And his teammates are banned from seeing him. They're acting like this guy's a zombie. So, I guess zombies do come back to life, right? So, I don't know. It's just the whole thing is very weird. We're going to keep covering it. When I see weird stuff, I have to go into it. The Cancun on 3, again, you guys know I'm not a Gematria person. But it was very interesting that I saw that tweet. And that's why I go after the Gematria people that only fit things for a narrative, because I just look for phrases and they happen to all come up. And then these other people will take days trying to fit things that don't make sense, and they can't even explain why the numbers make sense. So we're here again to try and learn together. None of us know the answers. Anyone that claims they do, that's fine, but you don't. But we know we are over the target is what I always say. And I think we're way more over the target now. And millions are, because these would not be being by the top news outlets in the world if there wasn't something going on that they needed to try and get people to get off of. So, again, I think 36-37 is very important. I will go into that. But I don't want to make this video about 10 different things. But it's important because they kind of tied in with each other, these numbers. And this is just honestly about 10% of it. I have I think 50 examples here. So again, this wasn't me just going to imright.com. These were numbers jumping in my face, like his contract, and I found them all to be very interesting. So hopefully you guys like this video. I know it's longer, but at the same time, I like watching longer videos because I kind of get into it and then it's like it ends and I get annoyed. So I really hope you guys enjoy this. I tried to go into everything as far as recap, future bets, which is tomorrow, and the biggest thing, what I think might be the cover-up of the century as far as sports go. The last century was probably the Black Sox. They got scapegoated. It was something way bigger than that. But this might be our crime of the century for this particular sport. So take care, everybody, and happy earnings.